Well, hey, howdy. Welcome back to the Campoon Dog Workshop. This is part two on that, repairing the 316 font. In the first video, I showed you that the bottom was rusted out and there was no way to save it. Well, it was pretty nasty on the inside. It's like tinfoil thin. Anyway, so what we're talking about was cutting out the bottom and leaving a margin. That really didn't work. As I started working on this, I figured out a better way to do it. I cut the inside out and I left a small, I don't know if you can see it, there's a small return on the top. What I'm going to do, I'm going to carefully peen that flat. And then I took the bottom from the donor font and I buzzed the lip off the edge and stripped the outside shoulder off. So the next step is going to be, I got to line the inside of this with Oatly's 95 tinning flux. Do the same on this. Paint it with Oatly's number 25 tinning flux. Tinning flux helps solder flow more effectively and more freely. So once I got the tinning flux on, then I'm going to come back and give it a light coating of lead-free solder. And I'm going to smooth that out with steel wool as I go. So I've got the tinning flux and then a thin layer of solder doing the same on that. I'm going to put the font bottom in, and you see it doesn't fit right now because it has this little return. So when the return is peened flat, this will set right in there, and then tap it in the press. I can repeen this return back over this lip. So there will be no visible, at first I thought I was going to have a visible seam that I was going to have to fill with pewter before plating. But the outside of the font will be completely seam free. The advantage of ripping out the whole bottom is it's going to be much easier to work out these dents because I can tap them from the inside. So anyway, once I got that in, pressed in place, peened over, I'm going to heat it all the way around, and the solder on here and the solder on here will start to bond. Now, because I know that something can go wrong, it will, what I'm going to do after it cools, I'm going to, through the filler hole, I'm going to pour some liquid flux in here and roll it so the flux fills this little void where the two are mated up. And then I'm going to cut a bunch of little pieces of solder, little chips of solder, and drop them in. Then I'm going to wait till Mary is either shopping or asleep, and I'm going to go into the kitchen and put this on the stove and let the stove heat the entire thing so those solder chips will flow. Once I know they're flowing, I'm going to put my asbestos gloves on, give it a roll so the liquid solder fills all the way around the joint, and then let it cool. I'm also, when I'm done with plating and all that, I'm also going to give it a shot of Caswell, just to be on the safe side. And the thing with Caswell on these that you have to be careful of is your pickup tube is right at the bottom of this. So if I put the Caswell in and I let it set, the Caswell is going to flow to the lowest part, fill up the hole in the pickup tube, which is really bad. So what I'm going to do is, after I put the Caswell in, roll it around, make sure the entire inside is coated. I'm going to flip it on its side, hook this up to my little air pump, and put about 3 psi and let it pump air through this until, and it'll come out there, until the Caswell sets. That'll keep the pickup hole free. Then when that's done, I'll put the nut back on. Oh, before I Caswell, I got to put the nut back on, solder it, and then I can Caswell. And then we'll be ready for plating. So this guy's going to really come out well. At this point, I'm about, let me see, I'm about 2.5 hours No, closer to 3 hours into the project. So I stripped the bottom out, cleaned it out, pulled the, hang on. This was the inside bottom of the font. So I had to heat it, let the solder break, and inch by inch with a pair of pliers roll it up and pull it off. So I cleaned that, cleaned this. So everything is ready to go except for knocking the dents out. I'm going to do that next. And as I said, I'm about 3 hours into the project. So it's coming along pretty well, and so far, nothing weird has happened. So thank you, Lord. I appreciate that. Anyway, thanks for stopping by Camp Loon Dog Workshop. Here we are. I'll keep you posted on this project. Goodbye. Have a good weekend. No, wait. Have a good week. All right. That's it. Goodbye.